Hello. My girlfriend told me not to come to Christmas because her ex would be there and she wanted to catch up. I responded with one word, understood. By morning, I had returned her dream gift, packed my things, and left. The next day, she called crying after discovering the gift had been donated to charity. Don't come to Christmas. My ex will be there, and I want to catch up. She said it while folding laundry like she was talking about the weather. No hesitation. No softening the blow. For context, I'm Matt, 30M. She's Erin, 27F. We've been together a little over 3 years, living together for one. This was supposed to be our first Christmas hosting together. Tree, dinner, the whole picture she'd been painting since October. I stood there holding a mug, waiting for the punchline. There's no joke, I asked. She sighed, annoyed. Why are you making this a thing? Because you just uninvited me from Christmas, I said. She rolled her eyes. It's not like that. Jason and I just need closure. We dated forever. He's part of the family. It would be awkward if you were there. Awkward. Right. So I'm supposed to what? I asked. Just sit it out. It's one day, she snapped. If you're secure, it shouldn't matter. I thought about the gift hidden in the hall closet. The one she'd been dropping hints about for months. The one I'd saved for, researched, ordered early because she called it her dream. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask her to reconsider. I just said, understood. That seemed to satisfy her. She nodded, already mentally moving on, like I'd agreed to reschedule dinner. She had no idea that sentence wasn't compliance. It was confirmation. And once I had that, everything else became very simple. She didn't notice the shift. That's the thing that keeps replaying in my head. How invisible the moment was to her. She went right back to folding laundry, humming, already talking about logistics. You can go see your parents or whatever, she said. We'll do our own thing when I get back. When I get back. Like I was a dog she'd left with a sitter. I nodded again and walked into the bedroom. She kept talking from the living room, unaware I'd stopped listening. The gift was still in the closet, tucked behind winter coats. She'd sent me the link in September, followed by, I'm not saying you have to get it, but this is the one. It wasn't cheap. It was specific. The kind of thing you buy when you think you're building towards something. I took it down and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the box. That's when it really hit me. Not the ex, not Christmas, but how easily she'd excluded me. How normal it felt to her to prioritize catching up with someone she used to love over sharing a holiday with the person she claimed to love now. That night, she was oddly cheerful, talking about recipes, about how Jason's mom still made the same stuffing, about how it would be nice to see him without all the drama. I asked, does he know I'm not coming? She paused. I didn't think it was necessary to explain. Of course she didn't. When she went to bed, I stayed up. I opened my laptop and pulled up the receipt for the gift. Still within the return window. Barely. I printed the return label. Then I opened a second tab and searched for local charities. Shelters. Toy drives. Places that stayed open through the holidays for people who didn't get invited anywhere. By the time I finally lay down next to her, she was asleep, facing away from me. I didn't feel angry. I felt finished. And I knew I wouldn't be here when she woke up. I woke up before my alarm. That almost never happens. I'm usually the guy who needs 3 snoozes and a coffee before my brain works. But that morning, I was fully awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to Erin breathe beside me like nothing in her life was about to change. She rolled over and mumbled, "What time is it?" "Early," I said. "Good," she replied. "I need to finish packing today." Packing. For Christmas. Without me. She got up, already in a mood, complaining about how stressful the holidays were and how she just wanted one calm, drama-free day. I watched her move around the room, tossing clothes into a suitcase, checking her phone, smiling at something she read. I didn't ask who it was. While she showered, I started packing too. Quietly. Not everything, just what mattered. Clothes. Laptop. Documents. The stuff you take when you don't plan on coming back to argue. She came out wrapped in a towel and frowned. "Why are you packing?" "I'm going to head out early tomorrow," I said. "Beat traffic." She nodded absently. "Makes sense." That was the moment I knew there was no fixing this. She didn't even register the difference between early and gone. Later that afternoon, she left to run errands. I took the gift box, slid it into my car, and drove to the donation center across town. The volunteer smiled when I handed it over, thanked me, told me it would go to a family who'd really appreciate it. I didn't tell her. That night, Erin was buzzing with excitement, talking about seeing Jason, about inside jokes, about how it would be nice to remember who she used to be. I smiled and nodded. At 5:12 a.m., while it was still dark, I carried my bags down the stairs. I left my key on the counter. No note. No explanation. Just absence. When I pulled away, the apartment lights were still off. She wouldn't notice until much later. And by then, it would already be too late. She called me at 9:47 a.m. I know the exact time because I was already 3 hours down the highway, stopped for coffee, watching snow drift lazily past the window like the world hadn't just cracked open behind me. Matt. Her voice was sharp, confused. Where are you? I didn't answer right away. Matt, she repeated. Why isn't your stuff here? I left, I said. There was a pause. Not shock, processing. Like she was flipping through mental tabs, trying to find where this didn't add up. You left? She asked. Yes. She scoffed. Okay, don't do this. You're being dramatic because of Christmas. I'm not doing anything, I replied. I understood you. That's not what I meant, she snapped. I meant don't come to my parents' house. Not this. You said you wanted to catch up with your ex, I said calmly. So I gave you space. All of it. Her tone hardened. So you're punishing me now? No, I said. I'm responding. She sighed loudly into the phone. You always do this. You go quiet instead of talking. I talked, I said. You decided. She tried to pivot then. Jason being there doesn't mean anything. It's just conversation. History. And I'm not part of your present, I replied. That's not fair. Neither is uninviting your boyfriend from Christmas so you can catch up with your ex. Silence again. Heavier this time. Then she said, So what? You're breaking up with me. I already did, I said. Her voice rose. You can't just decide that on your own. I almost smiled. The irony was impressive. I didn't, I said. You did. I just listened. She hung up on me. And for the first time in weeks, the quiet on the other end felt like relief. She didn't stay quiet for long. By noon, my phone was blowing up, texts first, then calls, then voice notes she knew I hated because they forced me to hear her cry without letting me respond. You're really doing this? This is so unfair. I told my parents you weren't coming, not that you were leaving me. That one stood out. She hadn't told them I chose not to come. She'd already framed it as my absence. Convenient. Around mid-afternoon, she called again. I answered this time. Why would you just disappear? She demanded. Do you know how embarrassing this is for me? I imagine it's uncomfortable, I said. Uncomfortable, she snapped. I look insane. My mom keeps asking where you are. You told me not to come, I replied. So I didn't. That doesn't mean you move out. You told me Christmas was about catching up with your ex, I said. I took that seriously. She scoffed. God, you're so literal. Normal people don't break up over one holiday. Normal people don't uninvite their partner so they can play house with their ex, I said. She went quiet, then shifted tactics. So where's my gift? She asked suddenly. There it was. The real concern, slipping out sideways. What gift? I asked. The one in the closet, she said. I went to wrap it, and it's gone. I took a breath. I returned it. Her voice went sharp. You what? I returned it, I repeated. Then I donated it. Dead silence. You had no right, she said finally, voice shaking with rage. That was mine. No, I said. It was something I bought for my girlfriend. I don't have one anymore. She started crying then. Real crying this time, not performative. You did this to hurt me. I did this because you told me exactly where I didn't belong, I replied. She hung up again. The next day would be Christmas, and she was about to realize how empty her house and her victory really were. Christmas morning came without snow, without music, without her. I woke up in my childhood bedroom, the one I hadn't slept in since college, staring at the same old posters on the wall. My mom was already up, moving around the kitchen, pretending not to ask questions she already knew the answers to. My phone buzzed at 7:06 a.m. Aaron. I let it ring. Then again. Then a text. Aaron, please answer. I'm serious. I'm crying. I waited until after breakfast to call her back. Not out of cruelty, out of clarity. I didn't want this conversation colored by emotion. I wanted it clean. She answered immediately, voice wrecked. Why would you do that? The gift. Matt, that was my dream gift. You knew that. I knew, I said. That's why I didn't give it to someone who told me not to show up for Christmas. You donated it, she sobbed. To strangers. Yes. You did that just to punish me. No, I replied. I did it because it didn't belong to you anymore. She tried to explain herself then. About nostalgia. About how Jason was just history. About how Christmas made her emotional and she didn't want conflict. You didn't want conflict with him, I said. So you created it with me. That's not fair. she said weakly. Neither is asking your boyfriend to disappear so you can reconnect with your ex, I replied. She started crying harder. I didn't think you'd actually leave. That sentence again. The same one people always say when consequences finally show up. I understood what you said, I told her. You didn't think I would. We hung up shortly after that. No yelling. No resolution. Just the sound of something breaking that couldn't be fixed by apologies anymore. Outside, my parents' house smelled like cinnamon and coffee. Inside, my phone stayed silent. And for the first time, Christmas didn't feel lonely. It felt honest. The silence didn't last. By the afternoon of December 26th, my phone was vibrating again. Harder this time. Like panic had finally elbowed entitlement out of the way. She called 6 times in a row. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. Aaron, my parents are asking questions. Aaron, Jason already left. Aaron, can we please just talk like adults? That third one almost made me laugh. Adults don't sideline their partners on holidays so they can catch up with an ex. I eventually replied with one word. Me, no. That seemed to flip a switch. Her messages turned sharp, mean in that familiar way she used when she felt control slipping. Aaron, you're cruel. Aaron, you ruined Christmas on purpose. Aaron, do you have any idea how this made me look? There it was again. Not how it hurt. Not why it mattered. Just how it reflected on her. That evening, she finally admitted what she'd been dancing around. Aaron, I thought you'd be upset, but I didn't think you'd actually leave. Aaron, I thought you loved me enough to wait. Wait. In the apartment we shared. While she reconnected with her ex over Christmas dinner. I didn't respond. Later, I heard from a mutual friend that Christmas dinner had been awkward. Jason apparently asked where I was. Her dad made a comment about Matt always being reliable. Her mom didn't say much at all. Funny how absence speaks louder than arguments. That night, Aaron left me a voicemail. No yelling. No insults. Just crying. I didn't mean to replace you, she said. I just wanted to feel something familiar. That voicemail told me everything I needed to know. I wasn't her partner. I was her stability. And the moment something more exciting showed up, she'd been perfectly fine asking me to step aside. I deleted the voicemail without replying. Because once you realize you were never the priority, the hardest part, leaving, is already done. The narrative she built didn't stop with texts. By the end of the week, I started hearing things through other people. Carefully phrased questions. Awkward pauses. The kind that tell you someone's been fed a version of events where you're the villain. Apparently, I abandoned her during the holidays. Apparently, I was emotionally unavailable. Apparently, the gift thing was petty and cruel. What she didn't mention was why I wasn't there in the first place. A mutual friend finally said it outright when we grabbed coffee. She said you overreacted about Jason, that it was just closure. I nodded. Closure doesn't usually require excluding your current partner from Christmas. The friend didn't argue, just stirred her drink and said, yeah, that part didn't really make sense. That night, Aaron emailed me. Not texted. Emailed. Long structured. Like she drafted it, edited it, read it out loud to herself. She wrote about memories. About how we'd planned to host together. About how donating the gift was a line she couldn't unsee. She said I'd embarrassed her, that I'd made her feel disposable. That word again. Disposable. I almost replied. Almost explained how being told not to come to Christmas felt a lot like that first. Instead, I closed the email. Because here's the thing I was starting to understand. She didn't miss me. She missed the version of the relationship where I absorbed discomfort quietly and kept things stable while she chased feelings. I found out later that Jason didn't stay long. 2 days, apparently. Enough time to reminisce. Not enough time to fix whatever she thought reconnecting would fix. After he left, the house was quiet. And for the first time, she had to sit in the silence she'd chosen. Alone. Without me filling in the gaps. A week into January, she showed up. No warning. No text. Just a knock on my parents' front door while I was still in town wrapping up loose ends before heading back. I opened it, and there she was. Eyes puffy, coat too thin for the weather, holding herself like someone who expected to be invited in. I just wanted to talk, she said quietly. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. You already talked, I replied. On Christmas. She flinched at that. I didn't think it would end like this, she said. I thought you'd cool off. That you'd realize I didn't mean it that way. That's the problem, I said. You didn't mean me. She crossed her arms, defensive creeping back in. You're acting like I cheated. You asked me not to come so you could reconnect with your ex, I said. On Christmas. In our home. It wasn't romantic, she snapped. You always twist things. I didn't twist anything. I replied. I listened. She looked down, then back up. And the gift, you really had to donate it. Yes. Why not just return it? Because someone else needed it more than someone who told me I wasn't welcome, I said. That finally broke her composure. You wanted to hurt me. No, I said. I wanted it to be final. She went quiet then. The wind filled the space between us. So this is it, she asked. I nodded. This was at the moment you told me not to come. She stared at me for a long second, then whispered, I didn't think you'd choose yourself. I didn't either, I said honestly. Then I opened the door and went back inside, leaving her on the porch with the consequences she'd been trying to outrun. I went back to my life after that, packed the rest of my things, signed a new lease, returned to routines that didn't require me to disappear so someone else could feel comfortable. A few weeks later, I heard through mutual friends that Erin was still upset, not about the breakup exactly, but about the story. About how people kept asking why her boyfriend wasn't there for Christmas. About how the donated gift somehow became the symbol of everything falling apart. She says you overreacted, a friend told me carefully. That you made a big deal out of nothing. I nodded. That sounds like her. Because to Erin, it was nothing. Just a holiday. Just an ex. Just one small request. She never understood that it wasn't about Jason or Christmas or even the gift. It was about being told, plainly, that I didn't belong in a moment that mattered. Here's why I'm posting this. When someone tells you not to show up to a holiday, a family event, a part of their life, they're not asking for space. They're showing you where you rank. And when they say it casually, like it shouldn't hurt, believe them. That's who they are when they think they don't have to try. I didn't leave because she wanted to catch up with her ex. I left because she didn't think I was worth having there at all. The gift was just an object. Donating it wasn't revenge. It was closure. It belonged to a future that no longer existed. She cried because she lost the gift. I walked away because I lost the relationship the moment she told me not to come. And honestly, that dawn drive away from our apartment was the calmest I'd felt in years. Bye-bye.